Hey folks, welcome back to Manhattan. Thanks for joining me, Steph.
Yeah, of course.
Today I want to run through something a little bit different. I'm so often looking at the highest end gear, but today I want to look at something a bit more entry level. All-in-one bridge cameras with a huge zoom that would make for a great all-in-one kind of solution for travel or whatever your photography needs. We've got 7 in, let's check them out.
Getting back into it, why would anybody choose one of these cameras besides like a DSLR, a mirrorless camera that's available out now?
Well, firstly, they're perfect for when helicopters fly overhead and ruin your audio. Rude.
Quiet on set!
I said we're rolling.
So getting back into it, why would anyone choose one of these cameras over a mirrorless or a DSLR that's like brand new and they could just point and shoot and take whatever?
So I guess point and shoot gets, well, I picked the biggest one there.
Oh
This
my
isn't
God.
the best example, but two extremes. First of all, they're all in one. So something like, I know you guys use an A7 III. They're great, but you do then need a variety of lenses. And for people who just want one thing to travel with no changing lenses, this is a great option. I do actually have guests who've come on trips with just a camera like this. They take good video. This one has built-in ND filters. It has a crazy zoom. And if you're not looking for a really shallow depth of field, the smaller sensor and the slower aperture isn't really a big deal. So if you just want to be able to get from really wide to crazy long, these are basically your options because you don't need to change lenses, and a normal point and shoot will be much more compact. Like this is hardly pocketable, but the little point and shoots just don't have the zoom range of a camera like this. So I've actually got 7 different ones here. Let's run through them one by one. I think the first one is the Panasonic Fz1000. So this guy is a 20.1 megapixel sensor. It's got a 24 to 480 equivalent zoom range. Now, when I'm giving these zoom ranges, I'm talking in 35 mil speak. So that is a 20 times zoom. This has a 1.04 million dot 3-inch touch LCD, 2.3 million dot EVF, does DCI 4K, it's got Wi-Fi, and it's got a cool built-in ND filter, and it's $998. And the aperture equivalent, you're not going to get the depth of field you would on a full frame, but in terms of the amount of light you're getting, this is an f2.8 at the wide end and an f4.5 at the long end.
Number 2.
Maybe the smallest one in the bunch. This is the Canon SX70HS PowerShot. This guy is a 20.3 megapixel CMOS. It's got the new Digic 8 processor. It's a 21 to 1365 zoom range, so a 65 times zoom, and that's the widest of any of the lenses in this showdown. It's an f3.4 to 6.5, that's the trade-off of such a big zoom range. It has a 2.36 million dot EVF, a 920K 3-inch pivoting screen, 4K, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and this one is $550, one of the cheaper ones in the test. Next up, the only Sony in the showdown, this is the RX10 Mark IV, and it's the most expensive in the whole showdown. This is a 20.1-inch 1-inch CMOS sensor, a 24 to 600 mil zoom range, so 25 times, but a relatively fast aperture. It's on the wide end an f2.4, on the long end an f4. That's basically where a lot of the money on this lens is going. The faster aperture with still a decent zoom range. This also has the most sophisticated autofocus. It's got 315-point hybrid AF system, the same 2.36 megapixel or dot OLED EVF, a 1.4 million dot 3-inch non-touch LCD, UHD 4K, Bluetooth, and this one is $1,698. So you're going to want some pretty good performance because it's triple the price of the Canon. And next, the Leica Velux Type 114. This is a 20 megapixel, also a 1-inch sensor, 25 to 400, 2.8 to f4, so reasonably fast, shorter zoom though at only 16 times. The same 2.36 million dot EVF, 920K 3-inch non-touchscreen, UHD 4K, and this one is also quite expensive at $1,195. Cheap for Leica world, but prepare yourself for some deja vu because this guy is the Panasonic Fz1000 Mark II which is almost identical in specs to the Leica. This has same 20 megapixel sensors, same zoom range, same apertures, same EVF, a higher res 3-inch screen at 1.24 million dots, same 4K, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, but instead of $1,200, this one is only $900, so $300 cheaper with a higher res rear screen, and the rest on paper at least seems to be identical. The next is the Behemoth.
Oh my God.
This has gotten a lot of press. This thing is ridiculous. This is the Nikon P1000, and surprisingly, it's $1,000. It is the lowest res with a 16 megapixel backside illuminated CMOS sensor. It's a 25 to 3000, yes, equivalent, so 125 times zoom range, but you are paying for that with aperture. It's an f2.8 on the wide end, quite good, and f8 on the long end, but 3000, come on, that's ridiculous. It's also got 2.36 million dot EVF, 921K 3.2 inch variable screen, not touchscreen, but it's the largest of all the ones we're testing here. It has 4K, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, SnapBridge. It's $997, and if you're wondering, it's by far the heaviest at 3.1 pounds or 1.4 kilograms. Contrast that to the last one, which is a Kodak. Did you know that Kodak still has cameras for sale? My goodness. This is the Pix Pro AZ901. We have to declare a conflict of interest because Steph is in love with the little polyphonic tones that this one makes.
Oh God, I have to... I'm biased. I'm sorry, guys. I'm telling you guys right now, I am so biased towards this.
This is a 20.68 CMOS sensor. I don't know why 20.68, maybe they're being more specific than the usual 20.1. It has a 22 to 1980 mil zoom, so that's a 90 times zoom and one of the widest in the comparison. It has a tiny little EVF that doesn't even tell me the specs when I look at it on the websites. A 920K LCD screen, it only has 1080, it has Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth, $400, so the cheapest in the comparison, and comparing it to our 3.1 pound camera, it is about half at 1.6, 1.7 pounds. So we've got them ranging from $400 to $1,700, from dinky to gigantic, from 20 times zoom to 120 times zoom. Let's put them through their paces.
My money's on the Kodak.
Diddly-dee.
I know.
You gotta take a picture too. Have you heard the noise it makes when you take a picture? Take a picture of it.
What?
Okay, so first test, let's just show you what those zoom ranges translate to. It's reasonably hazy day today, so don't tune out after this one test. It's not going to be indicative of their overall image quality because we're focusing a long way away. We're going to have atmospheric haze. This is just the tester zoom. So let's set it up. We'll take one each. That's good.
Oh,
We'll
okay,
go with
cool.
the Canon. So take a wide shot, put the power plant right dead of center, try and get it framed up.
Okay, wide shot.
Grab the shot, and then we'll zoom all the way in, and just down to the bottom left of it is kind of a little outdoor structure. So try and frame it up on that, and we can compare. So I just got a touch of water. Okay, that works. So we'll have
exit 7.
what?
Exit 7.
Oh, okay. Mine didn't go close enough to see that. So there you go. That's the 65 times zoom in effect. Oh wow, this is a really interesting test. Well done, thank you, Matthew. Okay, I'll take ye olde fancy Sony. You can do the Leica.
Leica.
Oh, we're into the big money section now. So this one only has this kind of a tilty screen, as we showed in the close-up, not a outy flippy, which which Sony seemed reluctant to give. So this is wider than the last one.
Oh.
Okay, that works.
Okay.
So wide.
And let's go in close.
Well, to be fair, you had one of the longest zooms to begin with. And so you're just taking hundreds. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Just in case you need it.
So then I'll take its doppelganger, the Lumix, and you can take the Beast.
Oh, good.
Seeing you love the long zoom.
I'll be honest, it kind of scares me that we're doing this over
I know,
this
right?
because it's like, oh, the
What could
pressure.
go wrong? Wow, what a surprise. This is very much like the Leica for $300 less.
Okay.
Wait for it.
Zoom it. Oh my god. Okay. Oh, there we go.
Nice. This is such a weird grip though. It's really skinny. It leaves heaps of room. My dad would love it with his big hands, but for me, it just seems like a weird waste of space. Especially, that's not even where the battery goes. The battery's in this direction, so I don't know what's in there. Okay, aperture. Oh, Kodak.
It's awesome.
What? See this?
What?
Everything's reversed. That's why
is
I'm
it
confused.
flips?
And why is it taking a video now? I'm in stills mode. It's so jittery. Look at that.
I'm not gonna touch the bar. Maybe that's.
Why
Come on,
is this,
Kodak.
No, but why is the screen reversed? Look, I'm moving this way and the picture goes the opposite.
I don't know.
What the hell? Why is everything reversed? No, now it's correct.
Underdog, it's fine. Kodak, you got this. Room for you.
Wow. You ready for some shooting?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so I'm gonna go somewhere just like 25, 30 foot away, something a lot more realistic than shooting through so much haze. And we'll do the same thing with, I've brought along a really special model for you today. Do the wide shot and then the long shot, just keeping their face in the center.
Okay.
And let's see how the zoom compares on each of them.
Who's the model? Oh, okay.
As if you needed to.
The model keeps moving.
Tell me when. I'm gonna come at you with the full force.
What is he doing? Tai Chi? Oh yeah, that is profile pic quality. That was good, that was good. Number 2, the Canon.
I'm into flow posing. I like to just vibe with it, channel my chakras and open my pores and just flow with it.
I have no idea what he's saying. Leica. Oh, I like the color.
It's hard work being a model.
Wow.
Sitting here doing nothing, being gorgeous all day.
Blinked. Oh god, he keeps moving. All 7. Done.
I'm running in for a high five. Let's see if I can hit you hard enough to knock you in the water.
Oh my god, wait! I regret it!
I'm a pansy, but I have momentum. Okay, so we've done long range tests, mostly with haze, something a little bit more realistic just to show the full zoom range, but neither of them I think really show the true potential. On any equipment, the extremes generally don't do the best. Wide open or fully stopped down, wider zoom or longer zoom. It's generally somewhere in the middle where you're getting the best image quality. So let's now shoot them all for what would be a more realistic standard portrait. I'm guessing somewhere around 85, 100 mil equivalent. We'll stop them down to f5, 6 or f8 and see how the image quality is doing then. Now, if my amazing modeling skills haven't made you feel self-conscious, do you mind stepping back in?
It's gonna be really hard to follow up after that,
No,
honestly.
It's like the monkey that had to play after the Beatles.
Yeah, I could try.
Okay, just when you turn, try and put.
Yeah,
like
teach me how.
So how I do it, because I'm not that experienced. I need to get focus and get in my zone. Mm-hmm. So say you're shooting.
Okay.
I'll look away
Shooting.
and try and concentrate all of my beauty right into just like the top layer of my face. And then when I turn it, I try and just throw it at the camera.
Oh, okay.
It's actually kind of gives me goosebumps because it feels like I'm releasing a sonic boom. It's quite powerful. Fun fact, folks, we discovered this on the Tamron when I cut myself. Lens wipes are hand sanitizer. They're just alcohol. You want one? Impromptu promo. These lens wipes are the best. I always have a bunch of them in my bag. You get like 600 for 20 bucks and they work great. Links in the bio below. So from here I'm gonna get just the top of your back pocket. Ridiculously, a couple of them, what was it, the Kodak and the Canon, in aperture priority, you can't enable RAW mode. You have to go into program mode then the option appeared, and then you go back to aperture, and it allowed it. Bizarre. Gotta have a montage. Okay, so I love that the Canon is face detecting and metering. The others weren't doing that. You got a boat behind you, careful. Okay, first up, the Canon, surprisingly light too.
It is. It feels fake, like it's empty and hollow.
You're not a real camera. Okay, so this doesn't have a traditional aperture dial here, it's on the lens, but you'll note at this zoom it can't go below 3.5, so it's ineffective there, but to go up to f8, that's where I'm doing it. Gotta have a montage. Again, not surprisingly, same face detect and cross on the eye on the Panasonic as it has in the S1R. Also the same on the Leica, but the Panasonic seems to be metering brighter than the Leica, so we'll check that. Time for the big boy. It'll be interesting. For a lot of them, I'm focusing like a half or a third of the way into the focal range. We're at about 105 mil here. But with this one going to 3000, we're still really at the wide end for it. And just because this is a 3000, the others are like a 600 or whatever, I'm going to go further away and put this about a quarter of the way through its focal range and get the same shot. There's a puppy.
I know.
Wow. What a difference a day makes. Something I hadn't thought to include on an intro on this, having such a long zoom range really gives you options in terms of your composition, and those two sample shots just bore that out. Shooting from here and the background I was getting on her, or going way back and having the option to zoom into like 800 mil, I'm able to actually compress those tiny little trees that are all the way across the river and have those be her background. It makes for a completely different vibe in the shot. Take a look.
Oh, the Kodak.
Oh, so then I use this to adjust the aperture, but it only gives me options of f4.5 to f7.3. Come on, Kodak, you're better than this. Okay, when I zoom more, I get more of an option. So at the frame I want, I can get it up to a 7.9. And of course it wants to use a flash. I tried to play it back and it said, saving image, please try again later. Okay, we'll just take that then. Press play.
Oh, nice spin.
I'm a little dizzy. Next up, I want to do a little low light test. Now, there's a lot of things to think about here. These cameras have different variable apertures, different crop factors, and the ultimate ISO you're going to have to shoot with depends on those factors. So rather than shooting them all at, say, ISO 1600, I'm going to turn all the lights off. I'm not putting them on a tripod, I'm just going to use this for distance. Then I'm going to frame up the shot that I want. I'm going to put them at the maximum aperture that I'm able, like the widest aperture that I'm able to given this focal length. So I'm going to go to the top of her head to the bottom of the pocket. And then whatever, I'll set a fixed shutter speed of a 60th of a second, and we'll get some shots, and whatever ISO they need to get that exposure will be it. And then we'll compare the final shots. Oh, that's really interesting, man. Let's turn the lights off. Shutter speed, 60th of a second, ISO 3200, but I want it a little longer. Bottom of the pocket to top of the head. Okay, so this being a faster aperture, I can get these at ISO 2500 instead of 3200 on the Sony. This is a big boy. So this is actually, because it starts at a 2.8, it's also still down at f3.5, so it's not too high. And being the lowest res sensor at 16 megapixel, maybe this will actually do really well. Guess what's the last camera?
Oh yeah. Aww. It's like so welcoming.
It's like, welcome to the past.
Oh my god.
Look, you're upside down. There we go, now it's okay. Okay, shutter priority. Works, right? Okay, so we're now, I don't know, maybe a month or a couple of weeks after filming that first, the whole video with Steph, and I've had a good chance to look over all of the files here and really compare them in detail. Now, I have to say, coming from a world where I'm used to shooting really high-end equipment, the image quality on all of them was disappointing, but I know that's not really a useful comment. If you're looking at buying one of these cameras, we want to go through and talk about their pluses and minuses, what's a good value option, what's the best image quality, which ones had surprising results. So I've gone through and made notes on all of that. So first of all, the Canon. It's small, light, the build quality is quite good, the zoom is quite good. I would say it's the best value of the entire bunch. The image quality, sharpness, and clarity, however, are poor at every ISO. I started looking at the high ISO shots and then went back to the shots I took of Steph and the one she took of me where we're shooting at just like 100, 200, 400 ISO. Still, all of them, they're just not particularly sharp or contrasty. And I have to say, before you write off the Canon, that's true of almost at least 4 out of the 7, I would say that's the case. And this is gonna split people, but I really think for up close stuff where you don't need the zoom, and in good sunlight, you probably get better image quality with a latest generation high-end smartphone, really. The shots where I was zoomed into like 85, 105 mil, only on a couple of them did I really think they had a significant and obvious advantage. And you know, the main thing you're getting from these is the all-in-one zoom, so keep that in mind. Next up, the Nikon, crazy zoom, just ridiculous range. But in almost any conditions other than the dead of winter when, you know, there's zero haze, it's going to be almost unusable at 3000 millimeter equivalent. Even though I had a sufficient shutter speed, things just looked wavy due to the amount of haze in the distance between us. So keep that in mind. Having that range may be really cool, but in what situations is it going to be usable to get any kind of usable image quality from it? The high ISO, I would say, was second or third best in the bunch. And for this group, the image quality again was probably second, maybe third in the group, but nothing outstanding. Okay, now the Fz1000, it stepped above the majority of them in terms of its wide and mid-range zoom image quality. Other than probably the Fz2500 and the Sony, I would say it was leading that pack. However, the high ISO is really heavily smoothed. It's really losing details. For some people, they may like that. If you're the kind of person, however, that likes to edit their shots, having the detail there to then work with yourself, you've lost it with this one. Leica, on the other hand, was very similar, but there were some differences. I think the Leica is basically the Fz1000 Mark I, not the Mark II. Basically, looking at them side by side, I preferred by far the high ISO on the Leica. It didn't have all of that softening and smudging in there. The detail and color I slightly preferred on the Leica. The Panasonic was more saturated. So if you're looking for that really punchy, saturated look, you're going to get that more from the Panasonic than the Leica. Now, the Panasonic Fz2500 was similar to both of those, but a little bit better in every regard. The high ISO was second best out of the whole test, better than both of those, and definitely less smoothing, so I preferred that. Now, in terms of overall image quality, the Sony is just the best. I'm sorry to name the most expensive one as the best image quality, but it just was. Out of all of them, I would say it's the only one where I was impressed by the sharpness we were getting at mid and wide angle using the lenses. The ISO performance was, again, significantly better. That said, with the faster aperture lens, we were down at ISO 2500 instead of 3200 that we were on the other lenses, other cameras. But I noticed throughout, despite trying to replicate the way I was shooting on each of the different cameras, it metered darker than all the others, which meant bumping it up a little bit in post. So if you find that as well, you might want to just adjust your exposure compensation from the start. And lucky last, or unlucky last, and I'm sorry, Steph, I know you love those polyphonic bling sound effects, but the Kodak was garbage. Just, I know it's cheap, but don't buy it. The worst image quality, everything on it was bad. The build quality was no good. The ISO was appalling. The interface was just a nightmare, and every time I turned it on, the screen was either showing me an upside down picture or a back to front picture. It would start recording video when I was in stills mode. And a crazy thing, I don't even know how this is possible, but I checked, and on several of the shots where we had it zoomed out wide to the widest setting, we could see a hard vignette that you would get if you had like a filter on, or if you had the hood misaligned, but it didn't have a hood. And I narrowed it down and figured out what it is. Whenever the pop-up flash went on, which was all the time just about, the flash somehow is catching in the barrel of the lens and then making the barrel of the lens visible in the shot. I can't explain it, but it's there, and just, I wouldn't get it. You know, I would suggest any of the others on the list in a heartbeat over that one. I mean, for me, as I said, in terms of value, the Canon is head and shoulders. The Nikon for its crazy zoom and good performance overall, and the Sony is unquestionably the best in terms of image quality. Hope you found that helpful. Leave me any questions, comments. If you're using a bridge camera, let us know in the comments which one you're using and how you find it, what your limitations are. I'll see you soon. Oh, you're kidding. That was Travis sneezing. I'll still see you later.